nice to have so many faces out there. We have some students we're looking forward to hearing from, and we've got lots of guest speakers and other folks. So thank you for being there tonight at the December Lake George School Board meeting. We're all present except Janine Bieber was not able to be with us this evening. So if you can join us, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under indivisible with liberty and justice for all. So the next agenda item is one of my favorite things of the night when we have so many students here with us. It's the Washington, Saratoga, Warren, Hamilton, Essex, BOCES presentation. We have Dr. Trina Parker, Anthony Muller, and Jared Davis. So welcome for that, and we'll get started.
I'll start.
Thank you so much. I am also joined by a few of our board members. I have Dave Petruska, our board vice president, and I also have Peter Thomas, our board trustee, who are with us this evening. We are so excited to be here. This is also one of our favorite nights. And so we will start off with, as always, as is tradition, having your students talk to you a little bit about their experiences. And what they're going to do is really frame the context for why we do what we do. And then we'll talk a little bit visionary about the project that we have under works and about what we see as the future of our BOCES for our region. So we'll start with having Mr. Davis facilitate the conversation with the students.
Thank you. That's our cue. Awesome, thank you. Okay.
These are on, so we'll just pass them over.
Good evening. My name is Jared Davis. I'm the Director of Career and Tech Ed at the BOCES. And so I'm really excited to have our shared students with us here tonight to just talk a little bit about their programs. And they represent quite a variety of things that happen just on a regular basis in our buildings and on our campuses. So I'm going to first ask everyone to introduce yourself, your name, grade, and program.
Okay, I'm Lauren Kors. I'm a senior, and my program is early childhood education.
My name is Bryn Barnhart. I'm in 11th grade, and I'm also in early childhood education.
My name is Caitlin Holmes. I'm a senior, and I'm also in early childhood education.
My name is Osram Thoddard. I'm a senior, and I'm in New Visions Health.
My name is Lily Montville. I'm a senior, and I'm also in New Visions Health.
My name is Nolan Mace. I'm a senior. I'm in welding.
My name is John Vistardis. I'm in HEO.
You can hold on to that for a second because we'll start with you. All right. So I'm going to ask each of you, since we have kind of a small group, to just talk about why you chose BOCES. As you heard, between early childhood, welding, heavy equipment, New Visions Health, we know these jobs are in demand in our region, and these are the future workers in that workforce. So why you've chosen this path and why you've come to BOCES is really important for us to hear. So we'll start with John, and we'll work our way down.
I chose to go to BOCES because I've always liked working on machines and engines ever since I was a kid. I worked on cars with my dad since I was like 8, and I didn't want to go into cars. To be honest, I wanted more money, so I went to diesel technology because it pays better and it has a lot better benefits, and honestly, it's more fun. And now I work at Bobcat of Saratoga as a diesel technician.
Same thing as John. Since I was a kid, I wanted to do welding since I got really interested in it since my cousin did it. And he just showed me the ropes of it. And I was like, hey, something I kind of want to do when I'm older because, it makes good money and it's fun to do.
So the reason I chose to go to BOCES is throughout my high school career at Lake George, I was given the opportunity to join a lot of advanced science programs and AP classes, and they really got me headed in the direction of science. And I've always wanted to be an equine vet like these guys ever since I was young. And then when I was in my sophomore chemistry class, our teacher came, who was currently me and Osram's teacher, to visit and told us about New Visions, and it just became something I was super interested in. And just having the opportunity to learn hands-on. For those of you who don't know, we go on clinicals 3 times a week, and we visit different different parts of the communities. We go to the hospital and to community sites, and just being able to get that real-world experience is something that really drew me to the program.
So for me, it's a similar note. I'd always been interested in medicine and I had been taking said AP courses. But the thing is that the kind of career specialization that BOCES offers can't exactly be met in your typical AP class, as wonderful as the teachers might be and as integrated the curriculum might be. So the specific specialization, learning skills which are exclusive to medicine through the variety of different courses that we take, like medical law and ethics and anatomy and physiology. So even when we're not on rotation, there's still a degree of knowledge which is being learned, which is exclusive to our field and will always be useful regardless of whatever kind of deviation of healthcare we end up in. Oh,
So I've always struggled in school with anxiety, and certain things became harder for me. So I knew as soon as I had the opportunity to join a BOCES program, I knew I wanted to join early childhood to give that love and support to kids who may feel like school's too hard or they can't do it. And I've loved my program.
I would say mine's similar to Caitlin's, but I joined the program because I really love working with kids. And I feel like everyone should have a person they can go to if they need it. And I feel like in the world, like we really need more teachers, especially like early childhood education, because no one really wants to do it. So I'm glad I chose my program. And I love the teacher that teaches it. I love the kids, and it's just a good program.
Kind of started for me. I'm an aunt of 5, so I kind of grew up taking care of kids. I don't really intend on going into the teaching field, but I just love working with the kids. It's a great experience.
Thank you. Quick side note, my first teaching job was Head Start. It's really hard. So thank you, because I knew I didn't want to do that for 30 years. So tell us just a little bit about the day-to-day of your program and some of the unique features. So what's unique about early childhood, New Visions Health, welding, and heavy equipment? Sure.
So as a junior in the early childhood program, you have an in-school preschool. But for me as a senior, I do an internship over at Kensington Elementary School with Mrs. Preuss. I don't know where she went. Oh, hi, Mrs. Preuss. And it really gives a great look into what teaching is. I spend the afternoon in her class on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And it's a really good way to be like, oh, this is like what a teacher routine looks like. This is what a classroom is set up like. And it really gives a good look into like what actually teaching would be.
Our day-to-day lives are pretty similar, but as I'm a junior, our day-to-day on Tuesdays and Thursdays looks a little bit different. We have kids come to us on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and me and Lauren, we like right now our teacher's kind of like shadowing what it's like, but then after break we're gonna step into her position and we get to teach the kids, kind of get like what Caitlin said, that feel of what it's like to be a teacher, and kind of just learn a little bit more like what teachers' positions are like.
And then on days we're not in preschool or on internships, we're kind of just learning the basics of teaching and meal planning and like how to like, development of children.
all right. It's great that there's 2 of us here because there's 2 kinds of typical days in New Visions. I'll cover in the classroom. So not to say that being in the classroom is not fulfilling, because again, specialized classes, the people that you're with, you're surrounded by people who are equally as dedicated and recognize the importance of the field that you're going into. And so when you learn these specific topics, which really pertain to your career, you're also doing it in a community, which is one thing I think is really notable. And so from 8 to 11:30, we'll spend our day doing a variety of different activities, which span these different courses and represent the different kinds of skills we need to obtain. So for clinicals,
Which kind of courses?
anatomy and physiology, medical law and ethics, health careers, which basically encompasses like the soft skills of healthcare. What are the other ones? Why am I blanking? Medical terminology kind of falls under the A&P belt, but there's a lot of terminology. 1,000 flashcards so far. That's how many I've counted. And then honors English as well.
And they'll also do their government and economics credit, but then we look at it through the lens of healthcare.
Right. The reason I'm failing to list them all in like a standardized manner is because they're all integrated within each other. They're not, when you get out into the field and you're a nurse, you're not thinking anatomy and physiology. You're kind of thinking what you learned in general and how it applies. So having them all together allows you to have a standard application and practical sense of what they can be in the field. So for clinicals.
Yeah, so that's what it's going to look like on our just regular academic weeks, which we go about every other week. We have clinicals. Clinical weeks, Monday and Friday, we have in classes. We do what Osram said. We talk about, all the different parts of our clinicals and everything like that. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we get the opportunity to go out into the field. So we get to visit, like I mentioned before, different departments of the hospital. Today, I was actually in the BHU. And where were you today?
I was at the vet.
The vet today. So community sites, which is also super cool. And we get to experience like how people who are actually in the field go about their day. So today I shadowed an RN in the BHU and I got to experience all the wonders of that. And we answered a code and I got to just experience these things just like I was part of the field, except the only difference is that we don't actually get to do anything. We're just observing. So it's really cool to be able to interact with the patients like that. And then we also get the opportunity to come back to Lake George and learn here. So like Oscar mentioned, we're done at 11:30, no matter if we're on clinical or if we're in regular class. And then we come back here around 12 o'clock. And for me, I take AP Calculus when I get back. So I still get to be enrolled in a class at Lake George, and it really makes me still feel like a lot like I'm part of the school. And then she takes physics and AP Calc, so she's extra involved in that, which is awesome. And it really just allows the opportunity for at the end of the day, we're still at the school, we're still very much so a part of the community, and it's really great.
Our welding teacher likes to give us a wide variety of projects regarding different welding techniques and different just ways of welding in general. Gives us a lot of real world application use because we learn how to pipe weld, we learn how to do rivets, and really everything.
Heavy equipment operations is an incredible program where you work as a team to fix problems in the field, and you measure a lot of stuff. You go through a lot of different what would you say, like different types of like welding and hydraulics, pneumatics, electricity, engines, all the way down to the nuts and bolts. And huge shout out to Mr. Hammond. He is an incredible program instructor, and he brings it down, but he's incredible. Last year he helped me win first in the region for Skills USA and then third in states as a junior. And it's, first of all, Skills USA is also an incredible program that you can get into. It opens a lot of opportunities for the applicant. I got my internship at Bobcat of Saratoga. I work on internship right now. So what is it, 11 to 6. And then during BOCES, it's 2:30 to 6. And then I also work on the weekends too, which is fun because I'm on call, so they can wake me up at 3 a.m. Hey, but it pays good.
And while you've got that mic, John, tell us about your future plans, because this sounds kind of exciting.
Yeah. I just committed to SUNY Cobleskill for their HEO diesel technology program for 2 years, and then heavy equipment and agricultural diesel technology program for another 2 years after that. So 4 years total of diesel technology, which has helped from Skills USA and Mr. Hammond a lot.
Thank you. So Skills USA is a national student organization specifically designed for students who are learning trades. And its competitions are the things that get a lot of public view, but it's also a framework of teaching those professional skills for students to take it with them into the workforce. All right, so we're going to ask all of you, was this a good decision to come to your program, and what's your favorite part? Do you want to start, Lauren?
Sure. I think it's a good idea. It's a great place to be. The teacher's great. The students are great. It's the least judgmental environment I've ever been in. Preschoolers are great. I love being part of their day, and that's my favorite part of the program, seeing preschoolers on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Mine's very similar to Lauren's. It's a great program. It obviously needs more kids. The teacher is awesome. Shout out Miss Citro. Love her. As Lauren said, the preschool is amazing. The kids are amazing. Every student in there is dedicated to wanting to know more about child development and what it's like to be in the foot of a teacher and what it is really like to be a teacher.
Um, like Bryn said, Mrs. Citro is amazing. The classroom environment is absolutely amazing. All the kids work together as one. We're a big team. We're not separate students. I would say my favorite part of the program was moving up in what I could do. So I went from the in-school preschool to now internship. And it's just like what gets me through my day. It's like, you know what, I might be having a tough day, but I get to go to CTE and see my kids in Mrs. Preuss's room. And it's so nice, like watching a kid learn from something you taught them. I think that's the most rewarding part.
100%. I think it was probably one of the best decisions I've made so far in my education. So I plan on pursuing medicine, which means 8 years of schooling and then residencies and then fellowships, which is a lot of time inside of the classroom. New Visions makes it so that right now, as a high school senior, I can interact with patients and I can interact with different types of medical environments and see that it's not going to be about the classes for forever. Eventually, there will come a time where I can apply these skills, and it's no longer an eventually, it's a right now. So,
Yeah, I definitely agree with Osram. It was one of the best decisions I've made. My whole high school career, I was looking for a program that I could do that would really get me prepared for what I want to do after I'm done with high school. And then when this opportunity was presented, it was really great. I think my favorite part is the connections I've made. Just being in this class, we have students from tons of different schools. We have Queensbury, Glens Falls, up in Minerva, down in Schuylerville, like just everywhere. We have met so many new people. And then in the community, we've met a lot of new people that we can interact with. One of our friends got a babysitting job from one of her mentors. So just like the connections we've made. And it also brings, in my opinion, Lake George students closer together. Drea Fasulo, Mr. Fasulo's daughter, did the program last year. And when I told her I wanted to do it, she was so excited. We had like a little meeting and she showed me all of the stuff she does. And we have to order uniforms, and she ended up leaving me some of her uniforms that I could have. And just it really like built a connection between the two of us. And she was just so ecstatic to tell me about the program. And it just really like brings Lake George students together, in my opinion.
I definitely think it was one of the best decisions I've made because it really just, gives me a good thing to do during my day at school. Because I don't know, I had the thing to say, but then I was listening to Lily and I kind of got it. But definitely one of the good decisions. My teacher really thinks about what we're doing and wants to make sure that we're on task and that we're actually safe with what we're doing and that we can go into the field being confident and that we'll be able to find a job and actually do stuff with our life.
Is that your future plan, to work in the field?
Yeah, I want to go into the UA Local 773 after school.
I would say diesel technology is one of the best decisions I've ever made. You learn so much and it sends you in a direction and it gets you ahead of the game. Not a lot of kids you'd be surprised, not a lot of kids at this age know what they're going to do for college. I'm one of the lucky few that actually does. So it really gives you good direction on where to go if you really want to do it and focus your mind. My favorite thing is the program has a lot of events, you could call it. So we do something called Truck or Treat every year where we set up scare actors and props on heavy equipment, and our local students will take tractors and haul them around the fields, all the little kids, and it's fun. They get candy, they're all happy. Happy kid is a good kid except for the sugar rush. And then we also do something called GuardX, where we clear our field out and the National Guard comes and lands a Black Hawk into our field. I'm one of the kids that cleared the field out last year, and it was so cool seeing that thing take off. Really loud, and it shot a lot of dust in your eyes, but it was really fun. And it got canceled this year because the government shut down, so womp womp. But it's going to be hosted in the spring, so go to it. It's fun.
All right. So we heard a lot of future plans. Is there anybody we didn't hear from on future plans that has a burning desire?
So I originally wanted to work with elementary school, but I wanted to work with the higher grades, such as I was thinking around like third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. But since doing my internship with Mrs. Preuss, she's a kindergarten teacher, I 100% want to work in the lower grades, kindergarten first. The kids are so lovable and kind, and it's so cool watching them learn something. And I feel like I could bring a positive energy to the kids that I teach.
Oh, I think.
All right, so you heard a lot about the unique things of each of these programs, and then what is consistent across the programs. Our 2-year programs, we're able to offer integrated academic credits in math and English to help with graduation requirements since they are with us for half the day. So in English, they'll do everything from building a portfolio with cover letters and resumes, and photo narratives to communicating in technical terms, practicing taking those technical terms and communicating with patients or clients in more understandable ways. We work on those professional skills, technical reading and writing, that's all related to the field. And then math is kind of unique to the specific program, whether it's reading blueprints, medicine dosing, very important skill, and so those are things that happen embedded right in the classroom. Does the board have any questions for our students?
First of all, thank you so much. It's not always easy to get up with a microphone and speak. Believe me, I know. So thank you for doing that tonight. I'm impressed not only with the program, but with each of you, and your stories. I love that, having the hands-on experience so you can learn what you love and maybe what you don't love. Can be just as important when you're out in the community with hands-on learning. So does anybody have any questions?
I don't know if I really have a question, but like as Katie said, I am really impressed with your composure before a group of people and your ability to speak. And it made me feel excited for you, because you have so many opportunities through these programs that you're sharing with us. And also, I just know, a lot of times people are in classroom and then they to the workforce, and you have this, all these opportunities to feel what that transition, is like, and you'll have so much familiarity with just terminology alone, and some of them, the activities, but just the knowledge that you'll be bringing in that's specific to the directions that you may be heading is going to really give you a head start, I think. And so I'm really excited for you guys. Thanks.
I just wanted to say thank you very much for your presentation. It was excellent. And I just want you to realize how incredibly fortunate you are to have this opportunity in high school. A lot of kids maybe don't know about it or don't want to take the step that you did, but you did it, and you have an incredible experience. And like Katie was saying, you know what you do like, you know what you don't like. And that means a lot when you're going on to college or into a job, whichever your plans are. So thank you very much. It was very good.
And I'm grateful to all of you for your commitment, because every single field that you have talked about tonight, we really need you. And so thank you for being our future in those fields. A round of applause for you guys. All right. Oh, I'm sorry. All right, we got one more, sorry.
The only thing I want to tell you is, Lily mentioned my daughter attended New Visions, and because you guys have such hands-on experience, my experience as a parent listening to my daughter in her first year of school, you do have a leg up on students that did not attend a BOCES type of program where they got to experience the equipment, the welding, the people, the kids, whatever it might be, which really boosted her confidence. First year of college is hard, and she was pretty far ahead of some of the other students because of the experience she got at New Vision. So yes, it's a phenomenal program. Spread the word to your friends, but it's also great that you guys are going to get out with that little bit more of real world experience in your field. So nice job.
All right, now I'll give you a round of applause.
Thank you so much for having us and sharing your awesome students with us. And I will turn it over to Dr. Parker.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice job, students. There were so many things that I was impressed about from this group. Probably one of the things that I'm proudest of and most impressed with is their level of confidence. The way that they stood up here and spoke about their experiences and about who they're becoming and who they've become and the things that they've learned. We're just so proud of that. And we know that that's the power of our programs, that that's what happens when we have the collaboration between our school districts and between our BOCES. And when we're innovative and we intentionally design programs and experiences to give you the result that you just saw. And so now I'll talk a little bit about how that really frames the context for the capital project that we have underway. So as you know, about 3 years ago, we engaged in a strategic plan development. And one of the things that came out of that strategic plan was that we obviously needed to focus on our facilities. And so we decided to take a different kind of approach with focusing on our facilities. We decided to not only look at, of course, our building condition surveys and what needed to be done in order to improve our current buildings, but we also decided to really be innovative in our strategy and to start to think about some of the challenges that we've had over the years and whether the improvement of our facilities could give us an opportunity to address some of those challenges. So when we looked at improving our facilities, what we found was that it would take about $80 million for us to improve our SAAC Center and our Myers Center, which are the two buildings that we own, and bring them to where they needed to be, right? And so we decided before we go invest in just fixing windows and floors and roofs in our buildings, let's think bigger. So we looked at what are some of the challenges that we have in the region. And one of those is CTE. We know the importance of our CTE programs. We know that our CTE programs continue to grow and that we have wait lists every year. So for all the students who end up on wait lists who want these experiences, we can't provide it to every student in the region who really wants an opportunity to have that experience. And so that wasn't okay with us. So we looked at some of the data, and right now we're able to serve almost 1,300 students in our CTE programs. We have 22 programs currently. What we noticed is that over the years, since 2015, we've had a steady increase in CTE, 210 students to be exact. And so that tells us, you know what, when we're looking forward, we're not looking at just improving our facilities, we're looking at how can we expand? How can we solve the problem of not having enough space to serve those students who continue to want access to our programs over the years? We also looked at where our highest wait lists. And so over the years, welding, heavy equipment, automotive technology, HVAC, small animal science, and cosmetology have been expanding over the years. But we also looked at equity in our region, because when you look at things like small animal science, that exists only at the Myers Center. So one of the challenges that we had is that we have large groups of students who don't have access to all of our programming. If we have students and districts that can only send to the SAAC Center, for example, they don't have access to small animal science. They don't have access to horse care programming. They don't have access to horticulture because those only exist at the Myers Center. For districts who only send to Myers, they don't have access to machine tool technology, which is a huge need in this region. They don't have access to power sports because those only exist. They don't have access to our EMT program because those only exist at the SAAC Center. So we thought about those things, and those were the questions we sought to answer. How can we go beyond improving our facilities to expansion? We also looked at not only our existing programs on our wait list, but when we're looking into the future and the jobs of the future, what are the new programs that if we had the space, we'd be able to expand to? Things like a clean green energy program, things like a standalone electrical program. Right now, we do some electrical embedded into our current programs, but there really is a need for an electrical program. We just don't have the space for it. Same thing with plumbing, right? Same thing with sports science. We've heard from the field that there's a need for a sports science study. We just don't have space to start those new programs. So those were some of the challenges. And as we looked at our data, what we recognized was, interestingly, as you know, there's a decline in enrollment across our region that has been consistent. But as the available 11th and 12th graders in our region have declined over time, we've had an increase in the percentage of students being sent to our CTE programs from our districts. So that tells us even though we have less students to pull from to attend our programs from across the region, there's a higher need than ever before for CTE programs because we have more and more students who are interested in our CTE programs. So a challenge that we sought to solve. So what we determined was that in the build of a new facility, we could design it in such a way that we could increase space for our current CTE programs so that we can start to remove or decrease those wait lists for those high demand programs. But we would also be able to design additional spaces for those new and innovative CTE programs. Right now, we're exploring the start of a standalone electrical program, and we'll have space to continue to grow. So in our new program, we'll have over 250 additional spots across all of our CTE programs for students. We're really excited about that and really decreasing those wait lists and increasing access to our programs. But CTE isn't the only place that we looked at opportunities. We also looked at our exceptional learners. So as you know, our exceptional learners, we have our high school and middle school programs at our 2 centers that we own. We also have a standalone elementary program in Glens Falls at the Sanford Street Teaching and Learning Center. With exceptional learners, the number is finite. Because of our limitations in class sizes, we have wait lists and we can't go over 8 students in a class, 12 students in a class, right? So we're very limited. We can only currently serve 264 students. That's it. Every year we have a need for more students, more and more students who are on the wait list, and those students who are on the wait list really need that specialized program. So again, we set out to answer the question, how can we solve that problem in the design of a new space, right? Going beyond just fixing our current facilities. And so we also looked at, if we were to design a new space and be innovative, what other problems could we solve? One of the challenges that we have is staffing, particularly with our exceptional learners. Because it's so specialized, we need special education teachers, we need related service providers, we need school nurses, right? We need OT providers. They're just a specialized need for services. When we have a staffing shortage, it might mean that students can't get the services that they need, or that we can't open a new classroom, even if we did have the space, because of the staffing shortages. So one thing we looked at is if we were to have everyone in one place, rather than having a site in Glens Falls for our exceptional learners, a site in Hudson Falls, and a site in Saratoga, being in one location would allow us to share staff in different ways. So rather than having to have multiple nurses because we have multiple buildings at different campuses, we'd be able to decrease the need for a number of nurses for vacancies that currently exist, for example. Our O&M staff, rather than having to, really rely on filling those staffing shortages in O&M, being on one campus really reduces that need. Our related service providers. Right now, for exceptional learners, we have related service providers who travel between centers. Less travel time between centers means more of an opportunity to work directly with students. So really looking at all of those efficiencies for exceptional learners. And of course, being able to decrease that wait list. So our new building offers us the opportunity to provide additional space for those students, accommodate up to 328 students in our new facility, open new classrooms, design it intentionally so that because we're building something from the ground up, we get to design those spaces in a way that's conducive to flexible learning spaces for exceptional learners and having related services providers in close proximity to those learners. So we're really excited about that and what we're creating, centralizing the supports for those learners. And so now we'll talk a little bit about the logistics of the actual buildings.
Thank you. So this was a process, as Trina said, it was over 3 years ago we started the strategic plan, and we've been working on facilities probably for the last 5 or 6 years. We did a kind of a buildings facility study back in 2019, 2020. And this was an opportunity when we saw the need for having good space for students to be able to learn and in their programs. We took the opportunity to look at different options. And as Trina, so we did put together a committee. We had a facilities committee that kind of like took the information to do an analysis and make presentations back to larger groups. We had superintendents from the region. We had our board members participate. Tim Hilker, our assistant superintendent for business, and myself, we were part of the committee just to bring the data together to look at options. The options that we had out there were renovating our current facilities. That $80 million, so just to kind of go into, touch on some of these quickly. That was for getting them, it was like repairs and renovations, roofing, HVAC systems. It didn't really go into expanding programs. So it's renovating existing buildings that are already old. The other problem is it didn't address our elementary building. Our elementary is a lease. That building is actually an old building as well, but Glens Falls is also having enrollment increases. So, it's always questionable. We have a short-term lease there as to what, where will we end up being in the future for that site, which is the second thing. A new build for a BOCES, similar to a district, it's a little bit complicated. A new build is working, where we would be working with contractors and a construction company and doing all of that work. There was a cost to that. That cost was probably almost twice as much as the option that we have now, which is a new build lease. And the new build lease, it's a 20-year lease. It's the most comprehensive and affordable option, and I'm going to tell you why. So there are benefits to it. And we presented these results back to our Board of Education and to all of the superintendents to really get a sense as to, does this make sense? And with a lot of the logistics and the single site and some of the expenses, if we did that $80 million, that cost would have had to been covered over 5 to 8 years. We wouldn't have been able to spread that over a 20-year period of time for the lease. So the lease, it's about less than 3/4 of a mile. It's probably about a half a mile off of exit 16. It addresses our instructional needs as well as our facility needs. Having one site really helps out with transportation for districts, reducing the number of buses that maybe have to go to all 3 of our sites. It gives us that opportunity for future growth. And then, with a new building, there are a lot of efficiencies in the new building that, are also cost effective. So the way the lease works for BOCES with this model, and some of the other BOCES have done this too. So lucky for us, because there's been some experience in it, it's a nonprofit company that is doing the build for us. And there's some rules with the nonprofit company. So additionally, 100% of the cost of the lease is aidable. For BOCES aid, the projected, there are no property taxes for the lease. Our state aid, with the BOCES aid, is about 55% on average across all 31 districts. And that aid is actually payable in the same year that it's paid out, where regular BOCES aid comes the following year, that the lease aid comes in the same year. There's no debt assumed for your districts for your budget process because it's a lease. And it's also a design build. So we're building it the way we want, but we have a company. BBL is actually doing the construction. CIDC, Columbia Investment Development Corporation, is the parent company that is financing the project. So they're the nonprofit that is helping us do this and get through. So they really take a lot of those logistics out of our hands and the worry out from us. So at the end of the lease, the project cost that we have, because they're a nonprofit, they can't make money. They can't make a profit. They just have to recoup the cost of the construction project. It's all tax exempt. They're a nonprofit. So at the end of the lease, the debt is all paid off. So after 20 years, the debt will be paid off. And they can't sell to a for-profit either. And we have first rights at the end of the lease. And we have a couple of options. Most likely, what we would like to do is purchase the building at the end of the lease. Because they can't make a profit, the purchase price is really just the cost of the town fees and the transfer fees and attorney fees. So to purchase the 3 buildings and the property at the end of the lease, we're estimating on the high side would be about $500,000. And then after that, there's no more expense other than any capital work that we may want to do on the building site. The other option is we could always renew the lease. And somebody say, why would you want to renew the lease? Well, we could look at it and who knows, 20 years from now, there might be another property or there could be other expansions that we want to do. So we always have that option too. And the same thing, because they can't make a profit, the cost for a lease renewal, an annual lease renewal, would probably be about between $100,000 and $200,000 a year. So that part was the game changer compared to doing a renovation on our buildings, because in 20 years we'd be doing renovations again and starting over. And then the purchase, if we were doing a building capital project on our own, with prevailing wage and many of the other expenses that are a lot higher, not being able to do it as a nonprofit. We're tax exempt, but we can't do it as a nonprofit. That's where the costs really increase. So here are some renderings of the building. So this is kind of the front of our K6 building. Here's the front of our 712 building. And this is just the front of our CTE building, but our CTE building itself is about 4 acres, is the size of it. All the large bays and everything follow behind it. And then one of the things, to offset some of that cost. So there are some grants that we're in the process. Our applications are in for workforce development grants, but also we'll be putting up a proposition for districts for the sale of our 2 existing sites. So we have our Meyer Center in Saratoga. We have our Southern Adirondack Education Center. We're entering into a contract with a commercial realtor. And that'll be a process. And once we have a buyer or buyers for the 2 sites and a price, we'll be coming to all the districts to put them up for sale. And the monies that we get for the buildings will reduce the cost of our project. So that's the intent of the sales of the building. And the reason why there's a vote, that's the state process. Buildings that we own get voted for by the districts, not just the boards, but everybody in the district. So there's a whole process, more information to come, where there'll be polling places in each of the counties for people to be able to go, and a mail-in ballot process as well. That's probably about a year from now when that'll be happening. Just going through the whole commercial real estate process. And, so our timeline, we submitted all of our plans to SED in June. We had approval from SED in August, so that's really pretty quick. If anybody's worked with the State Education and Facilities Planning Department. We also worked with the town of Wilton, so we have all of the approvals from the town of Wilton. We received all of our approvals by late August. The plan originally was to start construction by the end of October. We were able to start construction on September 22nd. So we're ahead of schedule on that, because one of the things for us is fall of 2027, we need to be in by July 1 of 2027 to be able to be ready for the fall of 2027 for September 1, because we can't move in the middle of November, because we need a place to be. And there are things that we're taking from our existing buildings that we're moving over. So we're really excited that everything's been progressing really well. And that's everything with the timeline. So we'd be happy to answer any questions about any parts of the project or.
Can I add one more thing? Because we had 3 students from early childhood here, we're really excited that we'll have a playground for early childhood at the new center.
I have a question. Do you have a sense of interest in the properties that are going to be for sale?
So I know, actually both properties, there has been interest. Saratoga quite a bit. I know people were calling realtors and calling us to, when is it going to go on sale? And, just a little bit, be patient. And even for our Southern Adirondack Center, there have been people that saying, this might be a good spot for us. So there's definitely interest already.
That's great.
And we're hoping for the bidding more in Saratoga.
Yeah, that will help the bottom line, won't it? And then the vote, I mean, it's going to be people saying, yes, we want to
Sell the
have
property.
money. Yeah, get money. So
Right.
that seems like that would be good. So that's a standalone vote. That wouldn't go with our typical budget votes.
Right, we'll do it standalone, so it's not so it doesn't confuse districts with your individual votes. Anything that not the may vote, and we'll also make sure with districts doing their own capital project work that it's very understandable what it is.
Okay.
And like I said, like you just said, that's a vote to sell the properties to have more money to do to put towards the project, because the project's already approved and that's already happening and the construction has started. But we do have that other, we have ways of reducing the cost.
That's wonderful.
I'll just add for that piece as well. I know that you guys have a flyer with some information about the voting process that was designed for boards. When we get closer to the vote for the communities, we'll also have marketing available for the communities so that everyone understands what's happening, that the buildings are being sold, why they're being sold, what the resolutions will look like, what the voting process looks like. So we have a plan for that as well.
That's great because I think a lot of times that, if there's not support for something, a lot of times it's because people don't understand it. So that's great. Thank you. I see it now on my desk. I haven't had a chance to read it
We
yet.
definitely didn't want to start too soon. We didn't want to conflate the voting process with the building project since they're two separate things. So once we're well past this piece, we'll start marketing the voting process.
That's great. Thank you. Anybody else? Thank you so much again for being here
Thank you.
tonight and for all the important work that you do for the students, in the greater region. So
And as a BOCES, as a cooperative, thank you for being part of the cooperative because it is the support of the superintendents like John and all of the local boards that keep us, serving you. That's what we're here to do.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I just want to quickly thank Dr. Parker and Tony and David and Jared and Pete for coming. As I've said this before, we're so fortunate to have great leadership and great opportunities for our students. As you saw, just a wide variety of programming opportunities. And I give a lot of credit to not only our counselors, but our teachers for preparing our students for these different opportunities and pathways that they can explore. And certainly our board for supporting our budget that allows our students to kind of have these great experiences. So thank you. We always appreciate this. And, we have a great collaborative relationship, in our BOCES. And I've said this before, really second to none in my experience with our BOCES. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Okay, our next item is the elementary update with our elementary school principal, Mr. Jim Conway.
Feel like we should stretch a little bit. All right. So happy holidays to all of you. I want to start off with some recognition here. So I want to congratulate our sixth grade teacher, Kelsey Cox, if you listen to the radio ever, if anybody does. She was the TCT Teacher of the Week last week. So that's exciting for her. She does great work with our students. Also, we talked at the curriculum committee meeting tonight a little bit about the portrait of a graduate. And I'm always excited when our staff goes out and they get to present. And it's even more special when they're invited to present. And Elena Levine, who's our pre-K teacher, was asked to speak January 14th. NYSID's hosting a PD event for pre-K through fifth grade school administrators on the topic of the New York State Portrait of a Graduate, Jeff. So there you go. It does impact our level. And based on the work that Elena's doing with inquiry-based learning, she was asked to present and share what she's doing at her level. Pretty exciting stuff. I know I always mention our student parent teacher conferences, and I was looking just to check, and we're really at 100%. All of our families attended, or if they have not, they have a rescheduled date. That does not happen anywhere. That is a great indicator of the connection that our teachers are making with our parents are making with their teachers, and recognizing how important that is for the success of our students. So I share that as a good data point for us. I mentioned throughout the year the Bob Ross Memorial Grants. We have 4 teachers who are proactive and applied for those grants, and a total of $5,000 is going towards some programming in our school. Things from a Lego We Do Robotics kits for some STEM units in 1st through 4th grade. Our library summer reading program, Bridget does something where there's a lending library with different supplies, games, and activities that are connected to the reading the kids are doing. She's going to be able to bolster what goes out. Some manipulatives for a pre-K STEM table that was already purchased, but now more materials to support what's going on. And then a class set of cornhole boards for a backyard games unit that we maybe can rent out as well as needed, but not really. Winter concert this Thursday, December 11th at 7 p.m. And as we do for all of our concerts, we will have all of the kids come over for the dress rehearsal, which is really exciting. We teach our kids about etiquette and encourage them to be the ones up on that stage in the future. And as I've shared before, our participation percentage numbers are outstanding. When you think about 75% of the students participating in band and chorus, it's phenomenal. So credit to our music department and Tommy and Mallory for the work that they're doing getting our kids out. I also want to mention, I don't know, Fran and I didn't chat about this, but the amount of support this time of year that our staff, community, civic organizations provides for our students is absolutely tremendous. We chatted today, and there are 25 families in the district that I'm aware of, including 28 students at the elementary school who are being supported in different ways for the holidays, from clothes and food, gift cards, and different ways that we're supporting those families. So, thank you to so many people and so many businesses and organizations that are doing that. And I want to thank our staff members who do a tremendous amount behind the scenes: Tori Coddington, Zoe Chodak, and Samantha Meyer. They really spearhead a lot of the work that we do in our school, and they do it quietly and humbly. The Rotary has a special connection with us throughout the school year and this time of year. And Mr. Lutheranger may be a part of this again. This Saturday is a trip where our counselors partner with the Rotarians to provide this holiday shopping experience and Santa visit for our students that may not have those opportunities without the support of the Rotary. So we want to thank them for the work that they do. Saturday is also our PTSO Holiday Fair, a longstanding tradition in the elementary gym from 10 to 1, where students are focused on holiday crafts and just really enjoying that festive atmosphere. And finally, the mic is available for anyone that would like to sing at our holiday sing-along on Friday, December 19th at 1:10. So come and join us. You're invited. You two are invited. You're on the board now. And I know you'll sing. I know that. Any questions?
Well, I'm looking forward to the concert this Thursday, and I will get my elf hat out for December
All right.
19th and be ready to sing along.
All right.
Anybody have any questions? Okay,
Thank you.
thanks, Jim. The next item on the agenda is the secondary update with Mr. Frank Koza, our senior high school principal.
Jim, Libby will sing. Annie will perform, though. She's not singing. Annie's not singing. All right, I'm going to be quick because it's almost 8 o'clock, so I'm going to go quick, all right? And Libby and Annie are going to cover the high school events. You guys will cover all that. 3 quick updates. Master schedule. We're moving forward again, as I spoke at the last board meeting, in our research. Just to give you a highlight of this week, the work around the master schedule. Tomorrow, weather depending, we're going to be discussing and meeting with Ballston Spa Middle School and High School with their counseling and administrative staff to look at their schedule and how they uniquely, with shared staff, are able to do what they do in Ballston Spa. On Thursday, we have our second visit to Warrensburg High School. This time, though, we're bringing a group of teachers to meet with Warrensburg teachers to discuss their schedule, the pluses, ups and downs, minuses that they have experienced with the schedules up in Warrensburg. Committee will have another meeting on Monday so we can set some goals, perhaps refine some timeframes, perhaps refine some goals as we navigate 2026, which is coming up real quick. Forum met today. As I alluded to the last board meeting, we have 2 goals at Forum focused on student development as our lens for extracurricular and rock solid. We had 2 subcommittee meetings on those 2 topics. Rock solid, we included student voice for the entire first meeting. We didn't talk, we just listened. And we heard from students as to what they liked about what they remembered about Rock Solid, what they liked about it, what they didn't like, and also parallels to the Leader in Me program. So that committee and subcommittee is moving forward. In terms of extracurriculars, we're struggling with that, just to be honest. With declining enrollment, one of the areas that we have not navigated yet are the sheer number of extracurriculars that we offer our student body. So it's very clear that we don't want to decrease our offerings to the students, but just navigating what's the most thoughtful, best way to move forward with this topic. So that committee is still working through some goals. And as you guys well know, setting the goals is the most important. It's the hardest work, but it's the most important work. And then finally, Friday is the Rick Atkinson visit. So between 9 and noon, Rick will be here in the library. I hope you can stop by. He'll be interacting with students from 9 to noon here in the library. At 3 o'clock, I encourage you to get over to Beach Road. I know you guys will be there, right? Dress warm, because Henry Knox is going to come out of a bateau. Rosemary was unavailable to do that. So Henry Knox will be coming off the lake from a replica canoe that was built by BOCES that we are borrowing for this event. And then 7 o'clock in the auditorium. Right now we have 300 people signed up for the event in the auditorium. I'm sure there'll be plus or minus to that number, but we're excited about the response to come and hear Rick. And WMHT, PBS out of Albany, is facilitating that discussion Friday evening. And that's my quick update.
Anybody have anything? Thank you. I know that there's a lot of the community working together for the events on Friday. And thank you for being a hub, for opening the school to be a hub for that activity. I feel like the elementary school and the high school are like these heart centers of our community. It's not just, it's primarily our students, but we also, I feel like, are doing a really good job bringing opportunities for the community members to come in. So thank you.
Thank you, Katie. I've been looking at more out of curiosity, the folks who have signed up for the 7 o'clock event. As many folks are local or as many not local. So there'll be a lot of individuals stepping foot in our auditorium for the first time ever, which is pretty exciting.
Well, it's nice. That's great.
I'm sorry if I should know this, but how did you advertise outside of how do people who are not local, how they?
Word of mouth, Facebook, WMHT put their publicity team behind it. They gave us a warning when that was going to go public, and when it went public, our event really skyrocketed on social media. So WMHT has been huge in promoting this event. Yeah.
And the historical.
The 250th Commission for the American Revolution for Warren County, Saratoga County, the Lake George Battlefield Park Alliance, the Warren County Historical Association, the Lake George Historical Association, our town of Lake George, our village of Lake George, the county. So it's definitely been a regional push.
Actually, Henry Knox started in his adventure last weekend in Ticonderoga. If you saw anything, or you can Google that, where he left the Fort Ticonderoga and went through the town of Ticonderoga and into the water. And so then he's coming out of Dog Beach.
You got it.
Dog Beach, and continuing on to Fort Edward the following weekend, and then the following weekend they'll be in Saratoga. So it's the whole region collaboration, which I think is really impressive. So,
Eventually making his way to Boston and greeting George Washington. So we'll see what the outcome. We'll see what happens.
Thank you, Fran. Thank you so much. The next agenda item is our student board member report with Annie Fish and Libby Peg.
Yeah, so this Friday, before we bundle up and head to the lake, we're going to the elementary school to talk to the Student Lighthouse team just about our role here and other leadership opportunities that we have. So we're working on a Kahoot for that and a presentation to ask them questions about their projects and what they're focused on so that we can have a better grasp of leadership, not just in the high school, but in the Elm School too. Yes, we're really excited about that.
The next topic that we had was Holiday Spirit Week is coming up. Very excited. I know one of the days is like holiday pajama day, I think.
Yeah. We've got
So
some.
that's pretty good. Another thing for going with holiday spirit is hallway decorating. So each grade got their own hallway. For example, my class of 2027, we got the hallway going down to the gym, like the windows. So we did window art and stuff like that. So it looks really good. Another thing we had was the winter pep rally and the games. I know we at our last student council meeting we were talking about some games that we were gonna play. So pretty nice.
Yeah, so that'll be next Friday, right before break. Other student life things going on. The high school chorus had the chance to sing with the Glens Falls Orchestra this past weekend, so that was a really cool opportunity. We sang with Queensberry and had the chance to work with a symphony conductor. He came here to work with us independently, and then we like gathered all together with Queensberry, so that was a really cool opportunity just to work with other musicians. Also, our a cappella group, Rhapsodies in Blue, sang at the Hovey Pond tree lighting last week. So that was really fun. It was freezing, but it was fun to sing with the community. There were some little kids getting presents there, so that was fun. And that same night, actually, Spanish Club hosted a Coco movie night here in the auditorium, and we had churros and hot cocoa, and that was also a fun night. Yeah.
The last thing we had was, so I know at the last board meeting, we did mention that we're working on our second goal, which was bringing awareness and developing our role in the school, which we're also doing by going to the elementary school on Friday. And we're also connecting with the Saratoga student board members. We brainstormed some questions for them, and we're really excited to ask our questions.
And just when are you meeting with the kids from Saratoga?
So what we were going to do for that was we were going to actually email them and have a conversation through email or have like a Google Meet or something of that sort.
Nice. Anybody else? Thank you, as always, for your report. The next agenda item is the superintendent's report with Mr. John Luthringer, our superintendent.
Thank you, Katie. Again, just an incredible presentation at the start of the meeting. I love hearing and seeing our students and all the great things they're doing, along with our student board members as well. And I do, and Jim, you hit it on the head there. The first one about just the need of our community. I participate on this other committee in Warren County called the Partnership for Community Belonging, and we had a meeting yesterday in Warren County or in Glens Falls. And this is just a group of people who are working to better the communities that we all reside in. And one of the things they talked about was just the need. There's a lot of need, especially around the holiday time, where it can be a stressor or cause anxiety for a lot of people. It also can be a great time for a lot of people. But I just want to kudos. This committee spoke about how schools are filling this void right now, especially for many of our families who struggle with food insecurities or clothing or housing, limitations. So our teachers really do a tremendous job helping support our families, our teachers, our counselors, our administrators, our staff. And it seems to grow every single year. And so I just want to echo that. Without their support, many of our families would struggle to have a nice holiday. So it's just kind of brought some attention to it yesterday at this meeting I was at, and they were very thankful, these community leaders, of the support that schools are providing for our community. So just want to thank all of our staff for supporting the needs of our kids. I just have a couple other quick things as well. Fran and Millie Coe and I, we did a virtual meeting for Saga City on December 2nd. That was last week. It was really well attended. We're very encouraged by that. We sent out a Google form to those families afterwards for host family commitments. We're really at that time of year where we're looking for commitments. Our presentation was about that. So we had very good dialogue. It was perfect through Google Meet on the snowy day that we had. So it still all worked out. So we'll have information on our website and going back out to across the families in our district. But we had a very good response, and we're feeling we're in a good place at the moment. But please spread the word that we're still looking for student and adult placements for host families for that week in March. More to come on that. We'll talk a lot more about that as we get into the new year. The Laker Hub is coming to completion. We're really excited about this. So the January board meeting will no longer be in the library. So we are going to move board meetings across the hall to what will be the new Laker Hub. We are finishing the technology installations, hopefully by the end of this week or early next week. That'll give us time to learn and transition and get things ready for January. So we'll make sure that we put some information out, but we're really looking forward to this new opportunity in this great community, multi-purpose, instructional type space. So we'll be unveiling it sort of as a kickoff at our January board meeting. We've already been using it quite a bit with staff, but the technology is the most important part, and that will be done hopefully soon. So we're excited about that. And lastly, this is one I'd offer up for some discussion at the board table. And next year, so starting in the 26-27 school year, the junior senior high school will turn 100. So they will be celebrating a centennial, which is a pretty big deal. There is not, it doesn't happen every day that a school district or a school building turns 100 years old. So it's certainly going to be a moment to pause and celebrate and look at the history of this building. So we've been brainstorming a little bit, a few of us in the district, and really would like to bring a district sort of ad hoc committee together of various stakeholders to really help bring to life a celebration. And what does it look like, and what do we want to do, and all of those things. Have brainstorming, really work towards an event next year. So we're really at the infancy stage of that. It's just an idea right now, but we want to bring this to life when we know how much can go into that and how much people have on their plates. So having a committee help with that could help really, bring it to life in a positive way. So I'd invite some board discussion. We're looking to build a committee that would hopefully have student board members, perhaps, our board members, teachers, staff, community members, and we're looking to probably start sometime in the late winter, and because it's about a year it would take to plan something and to do it where it's not seeming like it's overwhelming for people. So, I'd love to invite some discussion if there's any interest in that, and we would look to have some sort of a kickoff planning meeting probably sometime after the holidays. That's all I have.
That's exciting to have that proposition, and I'd certainly be happy to help with the committee. And it's the school's such a showcase for the village. This 100-year-old building, or nearly 100-year-old building. I know I've had friends and relatives from out of town that come to the village, and they always stop and say, "This is the high school. This is so beautiful." So it's nice to be able to celebrate that.
Well, I like the idea of having, an ad hoc committee of like a diverse stakeholder group, because so many people who have attended the school that remain in the area, they all have their own slice of history, and things that they, only their cohorts may be
Right.
aware of, that would be worth, bringing forward and celebrating. And so anyway, everything is always better when with multiple voices. So I think it's great.
Yeah, folks from many decades ago. Be fun to have their voices. Yeah. Anybody else?
So yeah, if there's any interest, I'll put it out there again, but certainly we'd be looking to have at least, we can't have more than 3 board members for a quorum, but 2 to 3 board members. We can talk more with student board members as well. We'd love to have some student voice at the table, but we'll start to flesh out an idea a little bit more, but certainly would like to have some good representation from the community.
And I'm sure the Alumni Association
Yes.
could put out some information to get the different decades of graduates.
Yeah, great idea.
Yeah.
So more to come.
Okay, thank you,
Okay,
John.
thank you.
Next, we have committee reports, and our first committee report is the Audit and Finance Committee report. Mario Fasulo chairs that committee, and we'll give that report.
Thanks, Katie. We reviewed the treasurer's report for October. Tax collection receivables were about $9.9 million for the month of October. We also talked about 2 life insurance settlements. One of them we received for $34,500. That was on behalf of Sherman Parker. This is a common practice in big organizations, but The district originally purchased the whole life policy on administrators in 87 and paid premiums on a larger policy with the understanding that the district will receive a designated amount after the employee's death. When the employer later retires, the original policy was split in two, one owned by the district and one owned by the employee. So that change really ensured that the district wouldn't need to contact or work through the employee's heirs. Instead, upon their passing, the insurance is paid to the district for the death benefit. We currently have one surviving retired district administrator that has the same arrangement. Also, we had October interest rates were $89,750. This happened before we took district funds, which we'll talk about later, into two different fixed rates of a 3-month or 6-month certificate of deposit. That section is going to be item C and E on the business consent agenda. We also reviewed the claim audit report for October. There was really nothing noteworthy on there to report. That will be item D on the business consent agenda. So we talked about the investment in a 3-month and a 6-month certificate of deposit at CD. After the business office spoke to investment advisors, they suggested we use what's called a certificate of deposit account registry service, so CDARS. That allows the funds to be distributed among multiple banks. So that really ensures that no piece of the investment, including the interest, exceeds the FDIC limit, insurance limit of $250,000 per depositor per institution. So we looked at the proposed allocation of $21.5 million altogether. $7.5 million we were going to put in a 3-month CDAR at a guaranteed rate of 4.075, and then we're going to take $13.5 million and put it in a 6-month CDAR at a guaranteed rate of 3.943. Both of those rates were a little bit higher than the daily FDIC rate of 3.89, and that was as of November. Because of this investment approach, putting in the 3-month and the 6-month CDAR, you will see that the monthly interest earning will be significantly lower, but we'll have the full interest amount that will be realized and allocated as they mature. We talked about the BOCES Vision 2027, and I mean, I think you heard a lot about how it's going to help consolidate transportation, students, all of the operation pieces of it. But there is an increase in the BOCES component district share of the capital project lease. So we analyzed the potential net increase, and we recommend phasing the increase over 3 years, just approximately a third of the increase annually, beginning in 26-27 budget. This approach of phasing it in over in thirds, that'll be easing the impact of the increase by spreading it gradually, rather than implementing a full increase in one single year. And that's it.
Thank you, Mario. I'm on the Audit and Finance Committee, and I really appreciated that last piece that you were talking about. There's always that, long range thinking about our budget. People think it's, close to the budget vote time, but it's not only that year, it's years in advance. And so I really appreciate that thoughtfulness. So thank you.
I've said it before, the business office does a great job of looking into the future and planning it out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you, Mario. Does anybody have any questions about that? The next committee report is the Policy Committee report. Mary Ann McKenzie is the chair of that committee, and she'll give us that report.
Okay, thanks, Katie. This evening, we have got 6 policies listed that are moving forward to second read. And I do want to point out 5681 in that list is school safety plans. And Katie had made a suggestion last month that first that we understand what AED stands for and that we spell it out in the policy. So it's automated external defibrillator, and that has been expanded in full word form in the policy. So for first read tonight, we have got 7 policies moving forward, and 3 of them came before the policy committee by way of Erie One BOCES, our policy services updates, and the 4 of them we reviewed per our routine policy manual review. So I'll start with the Erie One BOCES updates. So 5413 is procurement uniform grant guidance for federal awards. And this was an Erie One update based on revisions to federal regulations regarding grant guidance. Lake George did not have this policy in the manual. It's not required, but the district with the superintendent did review and discuss this and recommend adopting this policy because it ensures the district compliance with federal law when spending federal grant funds, and it outlines the mandatory best practices regarding these types of funds. So having the policy in the manual ensures that these practices will exist not just now, but in the future. So the next policy is 5850, data networks and security access. And just heads up, this is currently in the manual as policy 5674. Erie One BOCES is recommending that we renumber it purely for organizational reasons, nothing that affects the policy at all. This policy is data networks and security access, and it had an Erie One BOCES rewrite in response to review of the updated New York State Information Technology Governance document from 2024. And it provides current guidance on topics such as firewalls, passwords, patch management, and IT contingency planning. And also this policy, they provided a regulations document regarding password guidelines, and that is live linked at the end of the policy and included there. So the next policy from Erie One is 5851. And this is called Cybersecurity Incident Response. And this is a new sample policy, also not required, but recommended. And this was developed in response to Senate Bill S7672A, requiring districts and BOCES to report all cybersecurity incidents to the Department of Homeland and Emergency Services through a required form on their website. There's requirement to report any ransom payments in connection with ransomware attacks were also added. And in addition to the update from Erie One, the policy committee is also suggesting an additional paragraph that makes a reference to another policy that we will talk about next, which is 5670. Thank you. These are the notes for my report. I couldn't find them. Okay, so in addition, 5851, the policy committee is recommending adding an additional paragraph that references policy 5672, which is information security breach and notification, also on first read tonight. These policies have similar themes, and so the paragraph that we're suggesting to add to both of these policies tonight is to reference each other so that if there is a breach, a security breach, that both policies are examined concurrently. So that covers, that's the information to share for 5672, which we reviewed because we had this other policy in front of us. So information security breach and notification has that additional paragraph. And that's the revision that's being suggested tonight. Another policy, the other three policies that we reviewed per our manual review, 6411, use of email in the district. This was primarily, there was a lot of wordsmithing, and we had, through discussion, made clarification of how the district goes about notifying staff about this policy, and so there's language in there to articulate that. Then there is 8220, career and technical occupational education, and there's just one suggested revision in this policy to acknowledge that CTE programming can occur through, our district, through BOCES, and possibly through other districts as well. And that was that through other districts that we suggested adding. And then the last one is 8220, instruction for English language learners. And in this policy, we had just one wordsmithing suggestion. And then there was another suggested revision where we changed one word and let's see if I can articulate this here. So in terms of requirements for professional development for people who are ENL, English as a New Language teachers, if you have a certain population of students, like a high number, I don't know the exact numbers, but Lake George does not have the, do you know the number?
It's 30 or 5% of your total population.
Okay.
Whatever's greater.
Okay, so if you reach that threshold in your population, there is a certain percentage hours that staff need to, that the district needs to do, support staff in devoting toward professional development in that ELL area. Lake George does not reach that threshold, and so there we have an exemption from that requirement. However, we still provide professional learning in that area, but so one of the requirements, if you have that higher threshold, is that you have to have those expectations for all staff. And we, because we don't reach that threshold, have the opportunity to customize appropriately for our own school district. So we changed the professional development expectation is for all relevant staff. So any staff members who are caring for ELL students will have expectations for professional learning. And so we just made a little shift in there to reflect that. I don't know if that was clear or not. And as a result of that, that exemption and the, conversation around professional development, we, made note of the fact that there is on the website an English language learners plan on the website. And so there were a couple of shifts. Maybe you can help me with this. We examined that to make sure that that was in line with the expectations as well as the professional learning plan.
Yeah, you said it perfect. Yeah,
Okay.
we made
Just to keep that topic in the loop.
Yep.
And
yeah, it was a
the-
couple shifts around the language of the state requirement versus sort of a local requirement or a local plan. So we did make a couple minor to the actual plan itself.
Just to make sure that our exemption and our ability to customize are reflected accurately in all three of those documents. There's like connecting points there.
Yes.
So
And can I just say, while we're exempt, it's a priority for us to have that professional development. We want to make sure the language reflected our priority and how it worked for us and our size.
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You said it, but.
Yeah. And so I think that is all, those are all the policies that are on the list for this evening. Our next policy meeting is in January, and we still have one policy that's in the queue, concussion management, and I'm sure, and then we'll have a whole batch of other ones ready to discuss in January. Any questions? Thank you.
Our next section is our first of two public comment periods. And the first public comment period is for items on the agenda. The second one is for other things. Sarah's indicating to me that we have a sign-up sheet system for public comment, just so that we can keep it organized and have contact information to get back to people. If there's anybody who wanted to make a comment that didn't have the opportunity to sign the sheet, you are certainly welcome to do that. If you're joining us this evening remotely and you have a comment or a question, if you email the board at boe@lkgeorge.org, the board and the superintendent will get your email, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. Seeing that there are no comments for this period, we'll move on to the school business section of our agenda. And the first item is the school business consent agenda. And I'll turn that over to John.
As recommended by the superintendent, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Lake George Central School District hereby approves the school business consent agenda items A through H. In quick summary, item A is a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting on November 18th. We have our Committee on Special Education recommendations, the treasurer's report, claims auditor's report. Item E is to acknowledge the receipt of the 2025 tax collections from the tax collector. Item F is a motion to authorize the filing of the return tax claims. Item G is in reference to the policies moving towards second read. And item H is a motion to approve the Junior Honor Society field trip request to Lake Placid.
Motion carried. The next agenda item is 2026 legislative priority.
As recommended by the superintendent.
Microphone on.
Okay.
Could you hear it or no? Okay. Do we need to go through? I don't think. Yeah, let's do that vote again because my microphone wasn't on. So we're going to go back to the agenda item, the school business consent agenda that John just told us about. So do I have a motion? Second. Do you have any questions? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. Thank you. So now the next item on the agenda is the 2026 legislative priorities.
As recommended by the superintendent, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Lake George Central School District hereby approves the following resolution regarding the Board of Education's 2026 advocacy priorities. Just to expound on this a little bit, as the board knows, there's a very relevant and strong advocacy group that is made up of several superintendents. I'm one of them. We work closely to develop one voice of priorities for our 31 schools, and we recommend that our boards of education recommend to approve them as an act of solidarity, and then that gives us opportunities to have discussions with legislators. So this year, you'll see similar themes to the past years. Number one is around zero emission buses. As the mandate draws closer, 2027, there's a series of concerns and advocacy that we still feel needs to be addressed as presented here. And just to comment on a couple of them, one of them has to do with transportation aid for school districts. That in particular, it is relevant for Lake George because we are building a facility. There's a portion of the facility that is not able to get transportation aid, even though it is designed to meet the EV mandate. So building aid, I should say. So that's one component, not to mention the other ones as well that you could see. So it does very much apply to Lake George. School aid is another one in particular. That's one that's very important for all school districts, but at a minimum, fully funding foundation aid formula for the 26-27 school year. The piece to this that's been added is the what says Fund FAPE 22. There has been a law, so this is another unfunded mandate, a law that requires school districts for students to have a right to stay through age 22 if their IEPs indicate that, their individual education plans for special needs students. Previously, the law was 21. So there's been no added funding for that. And typically students that stay through 22 are high cost students for districts. So that's another component of funding and advocacy that we would be looking for. Small group health insurance as well. This is something there is a law that schools and schools that are under 100 full-time employees can be part of the health consortium, but that sunsets in 2028. That's a pretty big deal for many schools, not necessarily Lake George, but as we shrink, that could be a possibility in our future far out. But there are many schools that are under 100 full-time employees. For them not to have access to the health consortium would raise costs significantly for their school districts. And workforce development, we talk a lot about. As you can see, there's such a need with professions, in particular the teaching profession. So advocating for reform around Tier 6 and civil service practices. And finally, as you'll see, this is one that's been on for many years to increase the threshold for ongoing capital outlay projects to $250,000. Currently, they're $100,000. Has not been touched almost 25 years, 30 years, something like that. And we know with costs, it's very difficult to do projects for that threshold. So
John, thank you for your participation in and your regional leadership around the advocacy. It's really important. And I mean, you may mention one of these doesn't currently apply to us, but we work together to help each other bring voices to let the legislature know what, how things impact us. And really, it's an educational piece.
Sure.
And so thank you again for your leadership. That's not just your great leadership here, but the region-wide
Thank you.
leadership. So thank you. Anybody else have any? We're sort of jumping ahead to discussion while I am. So do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. The next section is faculty staff recognitions, and we have the faculty staff appointments consent agenda.
as recommended by the superintendent, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Lake George Central School District hereby approves the faculty staff consent appointments, items A through E. Item A is a motion to appoint Mary Mann as a long-term substitute chemistry teacher. Item B is a motion to amend the 25-26 substitute rates not hired through BOCES. Item C is a motion to amend the 25-26 substitute list for employees not hired through BOCES. Item D is a motion to amend the 25-26 coaches list, and item E is a motion to amend the 25-26 curriculum list.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any question? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is our second public comment section. Do we have anybody signed up, Sarah? Okay. Okay, and the same thing I said at the first applies in terms of if you're joining us remotely, please feel free to email us. The next section is Board of Education comments and discussion. Do we have any topics this evening? I know we've had some lively ones in recent months. Got something, Mary?
Well, I was just going to say, I'm looking forward to hearing about your meeting with the students at Saratoga, because I feel that you'll be helping us learn too when you report back. And they've been doing it a little bit longer, is that right, in Saratoga? Having student board members.
Yeah. Based on what we learned from sitting with them at our first training was that it's like they don't remember not having that at their school. So they feel like really prepared with it. So we think it'll help us learn a lot from them because they've had it so long.
It's great.
I am looking forward to that. So
Yeah,
thanks
me
for
too.
thanks for connecting with them.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I'd be happy to be involved in the 100th anniversary from the board, but I don't know if anyone else is interested in that, but since I'm retired, I guess I have the time.
Thank you, Rosemary.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. The next item on the agenda is proposed executive session. The Board of Education of the Lake George Central School District proposes entering into an executive session to discuss the employment history of a particular employee, the superintendent's mid-year evaluation, and pending litigation. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries, and we do not anticipate taking any action in executive session.